This tale begins the way many terrible ideas do, with a friend sending me a picture and saying, "Bet you can't make a story out of this." The picture? A brittle star, one of those delicate, star-shaped sea creatures that look harmless, right up until you stare at them too long, and they start staring back. I can't promise I'll accept every challenge people throw at me, but this one whispered, it wriggled, it demanded a story. And what grew from that little image was something about burnout, about silence, about the strange comfort of being listened to, even when the listener has too many limbs and a spiritual agenda. So let's head to the cold Devon coast, where the tide pulls close, the sand breathes quietly, and something in the rock pool is waiting to be your mentor, whether you want enlightenment or whether enlightenment wants you. This is the Guru of the Shallows. By the time Henry left the city, he'd burned through 3 jobs, 2 therapists, and every meditation app the internet could name. He didn't want to find himself, he just wanted the noise to stop. He rented a damp little cottage on the Devon coast, his windows fogged with salt and regret. The sea was grey, the sand cold, and the gulls screamed like something was being born wrong. Perfect, he thought. Each morning he walked to a tide pool at the far end of the beach and sat cross-legged before it. He stared into its still surface, trying to breathe the way podcasts had taught him. In, he whispered. Out. In. Out. Sometimes he talked to the pool, softly, self-consciously, about the futility of quarterly reports, the moral decay of PowerPoint. He assumed no one was listening, until something moved. A shape no larger than his palm drifted from beneath a rock, pale, jointed, bristling with tiny spines. Then another, and another. They arranged themselves around the edge of the pool in a loose circle, limbs flexing as if in applause. "Well," Henry said. "Hello." They didn't flee. They seemed to lean closer. "Rough week," he told them, "but you wouldn't understand spreadsheets." One of them twitched, sympathetically, he thought. They came every morning after that. Henry began bringing a cushion, a thermos, and a notebook. He told them all about burnout, about deadlines that never ended, about the quiet horror of waking to the same blue glow each day. The creatures listened. They pulsed. Sometimes they clacked their limbs together, a sound that might have been approval. "See," Henry said once, laughing, "you get it." And they did, in their way. He called them the Shallows. He didn't know why, but the name fit. One morning he arrived to find dozens waiting, hundreds maybe. The pool was black with their bodies, all turning towards him like compass needles. "Bit of a crowd today," he said, trying to sound amused. A ripple passed through them, rhythmic, coordinated. A low vibration rose from the mass, not a sound exactly, but something that made his ribs hum. He laughed again, though his teeth buzzed painfully. "Right then. Namaste." By week's end, Henry had stopped sleeping. When he closed his eyes, he saw pale limbs writhing behind his lids, spelling words he couldn't pronounce. He woke with a crust around his mouth and salt on his tongue. Still, he returned to the pool. The air shimmered with static. The shallows parted as he approached. Something vast stirred beneath the surface, unseen but heavy. He felt it, the weight of attention. When he spoke, the words came unbidden. "The tide," he said, "rises to remember." The creatures froze. The pool brightened from within. faintly green, as though the seabed itself had drawn breath. Henry blinked. What did I just say? The vibration deepened, reverent, answering. A chorus of clicking limbs formed patterns that weren't quite language, but close enough to make his skin crawl. "You're welcome," he tried weakly. The next morning the entire beach was alive. The tide pool was gone, absorbed into a single, pulsing mass of pale limbs stretching down into the waves. They were waiting. Henry stumbled forward, his breath sinking with their rhythm. "You've come for me," he whispered. "You want wisdom?" Something enormous shifted below. The water trembled. "We have come for the mouth." The words were not heard but felt, vibrating in his jaw, in his bones, in the air between each heartbeat. Henry understood. He opened his mouth, and salt water poured in, not drowning him, but filling him with light, with pressure, with purpose. He spoke, and the sea spoke through him. The creatures writhed in rapture. When the villagers found the beach later, they saw only a man sitting cross-legged in the foam, eyes open, lips moving. Sometimes when the wind was right, you could still hear him down by the tide pool, preaching, and the sea listening. And that's where we leave Henry, cross-legged, salt-soaked, and speaking with a voice that no longer belongs entirely to him. Maybe he found peace. Maybe he found purpose. Maybe the sea simply wanted a new mouthpiece, and he happened to be tied enough to say yes. Either way, the shallows got their guru, and the tide never forgets a disciple. If you've enjoyed this dive into strange coastal spirituality, feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment, or send your own bizarre inspiration. No promises, but you never know which idea might wriggle its way into the next story. Until then, keep your feet dry, your thoughts your own, and your mouth firmly closed when the tide starts listening.